Moms. Moms. I'm going to step back and just take a look at the whole concept of mankind. Look at the creativity of God to be creating all this nature that we see and all the super systems that we see. And then it is good, it's not good for man to be alone. And then creating a helpmate, and then the very system that we have of procreating, that we have families, God's idea, God's creativity. Lynn and my daughter are watching frequently Gizmo and Sunny. Does that name ring a bell with anybody? Gizmo and Sunny are the two eagles that were born out near LA, out in the mountains in California. And they have a camera set up there. And so from February on or January on, when it was snowing and the mom and dad were covering those eggs, they've watched and they've hatched, and there's two of them, and those little eagles will fly most likely within the next few weeks, no doubt by the end of July. So my point is that they have been sharing this. Eagles' nests are large. I mean, they're just very large. I wish they would put a ruler up there somehow to give a scale, but they're just huge. And they've been sharing that nest, and now those two young ones are flopping their wings and doing their little hops and fake takeoffs, and it won't be too long until they fly away. And 6 months, 5 months. With humans, 18, 20 years, plus or minus. The creativity of God to have that kind of system, to have a deal where the adults influence the offspring over and over and over again. In our post-agricultural society, since we left the farm, went to the factories in the late 1800s, early 1900s, dads, by and large, typically, have been out of the picture more than in, time-wise. They go to work, and moms have gone to work a lot too, but you know what I'm saying. But before that, you go farm life, you go look at the care that God has to create a family that in its ideal is together, spends time together, develops together, and the values and the beliefs and the viewpoints and the information that gets passed on from grandparents to parents to children, and on, and that like a thread, on and on and on. Parents are awesome. God is awesome. Moms, give a big shout out to moms. And from when does it stop? From the time you're carrying, your children are somewhere in your mind, usually within your eyesight when you're raising them. But your heart, and Lynn is a pretty good person. Lynn is awesome, and she's just always, you ask, what are you thinking about? Oh, I'm thinking about Sarah, I'm thinking about JP. What are you doing? And it's just always, 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 and that's a God design. Proverbs chapter 31, Joe referenced that chapter a little bit. So if you'll turn there, Proverbs chapter 31, we're just going to look at hands, speech, and heart real quickly, and then we'll go eat. Proverbs chapter 31, Proverbs 31, woman, and it's a familiar passage, and it's still good to read. Have you heard about 6-year-old Tommy? Down at Giant Eagle in Uniontown, I made that up. Little 6-year-old Tommy gets separated from mom, and instead of yelling mom, starts yelling, Martha! 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 Martha finds the kid and said, settles the kid down. It's like, why didn't you call, what's the Martha, like stuttering for, why didn't you call me mom? There are lots of moms in this store. I want to get the right one. And nothing resonates, I know, with me. My son, I was youth minister, and I was always around kids, and always, everybody wanted a piece of Greg, and I hear this little dad, daddy, and I hear Greg. Like, when I hear a little tiny voice saying Greg, like, you got me right away. Moms, always paying attention to kids. Mom's hands. Think about what your hands have done if you're a mom. Just think about what your hands have done. Oh, I think JP was probably 9 or 10, and I raised him to be watching sports a lot, and he was taken with hockey. He really liked hockey, still does. Little Henry, he's 2.5 years old, and just yesterday on the phone, Lynn said, Henry, JP turned the hockey playoffs on, good series is going on. And Henry goes, hockey, hockey. When Jonathan was younger, I said, just watch one skate of one player for as long as you can. The camera's zooming around us. Just follow one skate of one player and watch the dexterity, the skill, and the amount of activity that goes on with just one foot. Think about your hands, moms, what your hands have done. Making food, changing clothes, changing kids, getting, going, doing. I still get amazed, and I watch Lynn. Lynn will say, I'm going to go out and make something for dinner. And, I don't know, a half hour, 45 minutes later, here you go. I'm like, that's really pretty good. In fact, I get so amazed, I'll say, honey, that's really cool. Like, to the point where, like, in about 5 hours, can I watch you do that again? I want to watch you do that again. Make more food for my big fat belly. Look at verse 13 to 16. Psalm 31, 13 to 16. I'm in Psalms. That doesn't make sense. Wow. That's not good. You wouldn't want to hear that verse. Sorry about that. Psalms. Proverbs 13. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. Look at verse 14. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. Giant eagle. She gets up while it is still dark. She provides food for her family and portions for her servant girls. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. Look down at verse 19. In her hand, she holds the distaff. At the weaving machine, she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. Verse 22. She makes coverings for her bed. Hands. Makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen. And verse 27. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. She is busy. And you think back to your own mom when you were growing up, or your own life with your kids. Often, mom's first one up and last one to bed. And in the meantime, watch one skate. In the meantime, just watch the hands go and go and go. And that's a God thing. It's very godly. And what an example for your children. Look at verse 26. Mom's words. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. Now, I don't know if eagles have a language, but I know there's some squawking going on between mom and these two kids, and there is training going on in that nest. And I can still hear my mom correcting my grammar, teaching me how to speak properly, and she would always just teach and guide and develop. That's a good mom. Look at verse 11 and 12. Mom's heart, verse 11 and 12. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value.
Happy baby.
That's so fun. That's good. And you can't, on camera, you can't. We have a toddler having fun, making fun of one of our unique fellows, yeah. Making fun of Bill. That's so fun. Please do not take her out. That's fine. That's fine. Look at verse 11 and 12 again. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. And I hope that you've had, I hope, everybody has different, but I hope you had a good mom and dad relationship. And then I hope in your own household, husband and wife, I hope it has been top level all the time. That doesn't happen all the time, but I hope you have had at least some example of that and see the desire of a good-hearted woman and a good-hearted man, journeying together, raising a household. That's God's plan. And I regret if you didn't have that, but I hope that as now we strive for that we can be good people raising good kids in a good country. And our country, it needs good examples. Kudos to you folks who have been married for decades and have raised kids and are raising grandkids. Kudos to you, young parents. I pray that you look at the example here that we have in this passage, and it kind of has the aroma of Deuteronomy 6, where it says, love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And so as you watch one hand of a mom, and you look at one passage, and you say, this is what I want to be. I want to be godlike for my husband, for my children, for my church, for my community. Not everybody's a mom. If you're a female here, not everybody's a mom, but everybody is a child. Everybody's had a mom. And so whether your mom is gone or whether your mom is still alive, I pray you meditate about that, think about her, and honor her on this Mother's Day, and find a good restaurant. Let's stand and we'll sing a hymn.